Welcome to Secrets of a Bridal Seamstress podcast, where we hear stories from fellow seamstresses just like you. We're able to share their success stories. We learn from wedding industry pros for the best business tips, and we get to hear from fellow sewists and crafters to hopefully inspire our creativity and our love for sewing. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're a bridal seamstress, I'd also like to invite you to check out our Bridal Seamstress business membership. We have a community of women that can testify to the power of genuine connection, friendship, vulnerability, the power of our six-figure seamstress method, and a genuine connection found in a business mentorship like this. All right, let's dive into the episode. Hey friends, welcome back to Secrets of a Bridal Seamstress podcast. I'm really excited to introduce you to today's guest, Ashley Ebert. She is the founder of the Abundance Group, and she's here to help talk us through what limiting beliefs we may have about making money. And I feel like there's a lot out there with our listeners, so thank you for being here, for sharing your wisdom. I want you to introduce our audience to the Abundance Group, and then we can talk through like what even are limiting beliefs, because some listeners are like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. So Ashley, Thank you for being here. Happy Friday.
Heck yes. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. So yeah, the Abundance Group, it's literally, right? Limiting beliefs, scarcity mindset. We're the Abundance Group, right? So this is kind of like literally right up my alley, but the Abundance Group, very, very biased, but it is the best mastermind community on the planet for wedding professionals. And it's a group of abundant-minded, just super smart, savvy, witty business owners that want to build lives that they love, that, like yesterday or 2 days ago, I decided to move some of my meetings and I went up to Duluth. I live in Minneapolis. We just drove up 2 hours, and giving like that kind of lifestyle where you can really, again, kind of ebb and flow between business and life. I think that's what we're all about at the Abundance Group.
Before we hit record, we were talking about how my in-laws live in Minneapolis. So I feel like you definitely need to have a business that's flexible enough that lets you enjoy your Minnesota summers when you got them. You got to take advantage of the good weather when it's around. And I feel like this topic is so good for wedding pros because many that I meet, they get into the industry because they have a particular skill that they're like, oh my goodness, this could be a business. Like, we kind of fall into the wedding industry, and then we also fall into this hustle mindset, not intentionally, but that's just what happens when our calendar builds up, and we don't have the skills to take a step back and think, how can I refine this so it like really serves me and allows me to, number one, pay the bills and more, and also like enjoy my family or enjoy my life that I'm trying to work for. Like, when is this going to even out, So we have an event coming up in October called Fall Fest, and our focus is all about just our money mindset and what it takes to go from, working just that one-to-one client interaction or feeling really insecure about our pricing to a place where we're comfortable to even talk about money and talk about, raising prices or kind of freeing ourselves from that hustle mindset. So this is like perfect timing for this episode to come out because I feel like within the Secrets of Bridal Seamstress community, we're talking about this. So can I have you start with telling us more about what limiting beliefs are, or that scarcity mindset, if you can like describe it to listeners who have never heard this concept before.
So I kind of want to describe it based on what I think the abundance mindset is, right? So it kind of,
let's start with the good.
It is not, right? Like, so one of the things, and for those of you that aren't familiar with me, I'm a very big nerd. I like to, have data. I like to really understand underpinnings of why things happen and, again, produce these types of mindsets and why they do. So one of the things, so there's this really beautiful book called The Anxious Generation that was written, and one of the studies they did was really understanding anxiety. And again, really looking at it and saying, okay, we're having these thoughts. How often do they really actually come to fruition? Like, what does the data tell us? And not to get too nerdy on you, but basically 80% of the time, the thing that we think about, it doesn't happen. It doesn't ever manifest, never comes to be, right?
My shoulders have instantly just dropped.
right?
It doesn't
Well,
actually
and it's
happen.
like, if you have any moms in your audience, know this hard. Like, you're like, my baby's gonna run out in the street, and you're like, never happens, right? Like, we know this, but we worry because that's how our brains are built to keep us alive, right? So we have to like honor that has gotten us this far. And then when you hear that and you think 80% of the thoughts that I have that are worry, anxiety, they don't actually happen. But then my mindset, people go, well, what about the percent of the time that does happen? Well, 80% of that time, 80% of the time that things do happen, it goes better than we think it will. And again, I'm forgetting the exact statistics, but at the end of the day, it's something like 97% of the things that we worry about either don't happen or they end up better than we expected.
Isn't that
97%
awesome?
of the time. So if we let the 3% in the driver's seat, that's probably not going to get us to the destination that we really are aspiring to and dreaming about. So we always say at the Abundance Group, join the 97% club, like join it. And we catch those 3% thoughts, like, what if they don't buy if I raise my prices? I don't think I would be a good leader. I think I'd be, I don't want to be a bad boss. I mean, Nadine, I think that we think 1,000 of them a day. It's the things that, is that really going to get you to the destination of a beautiful business that runs smoothly, that pays you the income you want, but also gives you the freedom in your life that you want. If it is not oriented in that direction, it's probably a 3% thought. But the really powerful thing of this model is it gives a name to scarcity. And when we can name it, we can kind of control it. We can put it into a different section in our mind. And that's the power. Because you'll see so we do Voxer as our community chat, and I do one-on-one coaching in there. And you'll see it just, here's my 97% thought of the day. Here's my 3% thought of the day. And because we can actually talk about what it means. And I just think that is so beautiful, because then we can give it context and we can say, like, that is actually not something I'm choosing. I'm going to put it in the back seat, and I'm going to choose a 97% thought instead. And so that's, again, how our community does it. I think in a really beautiful, tangible way that helps them move from a more scarcity driven mindset to a more abundance driven mindset. And the financial repercussions of that happening, like, people within the mastermind have doubled, tripled, quadrupled. I actually had we just got done with our in-person retreat in Minneapolis. I had one person say, I've done the math and I've 27x'd my investment. And I'm like, that is due to the nature of dealing with these underpinnings and these thoughts. And so, yeah, kind of in my wheelhouse to talk about this. I love it so much.
Yes, I love hearing it. I'm like, oh, I asked a good first question because I love where this conversation is going. So working with wedding pros, how do you see these limiting beliefs manifesting in the way that they run their business, or the way that they're able to, like, literally live their life? Can we break it down?
Yeah. I would say there's a lot of, I'm not good enough. There's a lot of comparison. There's a lot of, and I think unfortunately the nature of, like, the growth of social media has amplified that in a really big way. I think because I'm really known for teams and leadership. And so I see it a lot with the whole idea of, I don't trust anybody else to run the business. That is I would say, the number one ceiling creator in this industry. And there's so many people that feel that way. And I understand, like, I have been there, and I also know what it feels like to be on the other side of it. I just sold my wedding planning company for over $1 million last year. There is no way that I would have been able to do that had I not grown a team.
Wow. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I kind of want you to call out the listeners who are running themselves ragged, they're overbooking, they're taking on the clients that they don't really want to work with, and they don't realize that that is a result of these limiting beliefs, or that the 3%. So can you tell us how the 3% shows up in our business?
Yeah. Lovingly call out. I lovingly call out because I love this industry so much. And we already have so much, right? We have so much pressure coming at us from all these different angles. But I actually call it the hustle loop. So it's instantly responding. It's that feeling of, like, I need to be available all the time, of doing it all yourself, right? And this idea of not being able to necessarily trust other people with your brand or your identity or the business. We all say, like, and I think this resonates. I don't know. I think this is kind of true. Like, the business is our baby, right? It's hard to trust. But it's also that you're over delivering. So you're instantly responding, right? You're doing it all yourself.
Over delivering.
right? Like this is ministry.
Let's just let that phrase sink in. Okay, over delivering.
100%.
Oh my goodness. Okay, keep going. What is it?
Yeah, and we do that because why? Well, we love our clients. It's all because of a good-natured, good intention of we want rave reviews, we want clients that love our work, we care deeply. This is a big, like, we deal with one of the most significant days in people's lives. There is a lot of pressure attached. And we can do it in a way where we don't, like you say, run yourself ragged. There's ways to have boundaries around things where the client is still getting an amazing experience, where you're bringing other people and their talents to the business to help you kind of offload some of the burden, but also having expectations set on the front end about when communication can happen, how it should happen, because then you're not feeling like you're available at all hours of the day answering texts at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night.
Yeah, and I think then, like, when you're talking about the loop, it's like then you're tired, then you're really down on yourself, and you're frustrated with, like, am I even doing the right thing? What have I gotten myself into? You're kind of questioning, is this forever? And it feels like a little bit hopeless, you know? So
And then
that's where
Gretchen, the mother of the bride hits your inbox and you're like, oh, I can't deal with a Gretchen right now. Like, I just can't. We all have a Gretchen, right?
Oh,
I
yes.
tell that story often in my circles, but yeah, it is.
Who
And
is
then
your
it just
Gretchen?
doesn't stop. Yeah.
I want to hear the Gretchen story.
My Gretchen physically put her hands on me on a wedding day and screamed profanity in my face in the middle of the ballroom where it was the mother of the bride. So much so that
Was this during the wedding or planning or pre-wedding?
This is during the wedding. It is like
No.
6 p.m. Gretchen has had a few too many Chardonnays at the bar. And I just kept looking at her dead in the face. I said, Gretchen, you're going to have to take your hands off me, though. And so I said it 3 and 4 times. And finally, she got distracted and I kind of broke away. And I was actually trying to get her out of the ballroom because she was making a scene in front of like all of the guests. And I was like, let's move over here. But yeah, I mean, and I think that's some of it too, of like the way that a lot of service providers are treated. Because people see this, they're planning their weddings on their off time, right? On their non-work time, on their personal time. But this is our work time. And I think having that professional posture with things like setting expectations, not letting them scope creep, that actually builds a stronger, healthier relationship. And I think a lot of the times this people pleasing, or like we talked about, over delivering, really comes in a way that we're not as confident as we could be in some of these areas. But once you put those boundaries in place, it's remarkable how your relationships actually elevate. There's more respect, there's more praise, there's more just like I say, a better relationship all across the board with your clients.
Yeah. Well, we talk about this a lot in our membership of, when we have 2 calls a month called our Girls Night In calls, and they're not recorded. It's just kind of like you can come and share what's happening in your studio.
We so need that in this crazy industry.
Yes, and it's not going to be like in our training library, but because sometimes that's like you almost don't want to admit when you have a difficult client because it feels embarrassing. And so anyway, so in these conversations at Girls Night, we often say how you give them an inch, they take a mile. And we hate to admit it because, like you said, we love our clients. We want to provide the best experience, and like it's in our nature, like we're hospitable, you know what I mean? But then it's the people who you just do that one extra thing for, and they're the ones who then expect, well, you responded right away when I texted you a couple days ago, and now you're saying you're only going to email me, or you fill in the blank, or you said that you're like going to add this to the package without an extra fee, and so how come we can't add this thing too? It's like 100%. Ooh, and as much as we hate to admit it, that all stems from not having strong boundaries, and the boundaries is what can make us feel icky and scared and all the things. Yeah. So share with us how an abundance mindset, or living in that 97%, can change how we establish those boundaries, or even our own expectations of ourselves within the business. How does it transform us?
Yeah. Well, I think, again, it's like once you start to have the boundaries and that you see the clients respect it, and you see that there's a change in the communication. Now, again, it is, to your point, hard to hard restart them. Like if you're the train has already left the tracks, it can be difficult. Now, it's very doable. Yeah. And you can do it. It can be done with a conversation, but it has to be a really intentional one. But I think, again, like flip the script a little bit. If you were on the, the other side where you had a service provider, let's say a hairstylist or whatever, and she did whatever anytime, you'd be like, I don't know that you don't have demand. You don't have, a professional calendar. But when you're like, oh, Kristen has a slot available at noon on the 26th, 3 months from now, I'm taking it. You kind of hold it more sacred, right? Like,
Right.
if there is that, okay, this is important, right? And now I walk into that appointment with a different posture than like I could be here anytime. Like, so I'm hoping that kind of hits as like, I get that. So that's the type of nature we want to bring to this communication, right? And again, this is done with utter and pure kindness. And actually, the wild part, Nadine, is this actually helps the clients. So perfect
100%.
example. We were planners, right? And we were planners. So what I think a lot of the times the clients would get into like anxiety spirals, right? One change would beget another change and you'd start to go off the rails. And my planners, trying to be, hospitable and trying to be there for them, would just ping emails back and forth and back and forth. And what you're doing is you're entering the spiral with them, right? You're not giving space so that the spiral can dissipate. So, and again, all wedding professionals, I think, have this to some degree, whether you're a DJ, a florist, bridal dress, like you all deal with the clients that are like anxiety spiraling. It is part of our lovely, beautiful industry we've already talked about. But when you're able to say, and this isn't even necessarily client facing, you respond to them once and then you wait till the next morning, a whole lot of this stuff clears with a good night's sleep. And allowing for that space, it doesn't suck you in emotionally, and it also doesn't make them spiral harder. And this was like a big aha I had to teach my team, because it feels counterintuitive, but it's actually better service. So, and again, we've seen this happen hundreds and hundreds of times. So we have the data to back that, like, this is how we help clients through it. And again, as planners, I think we deal with the most, the stress tension side of it more than some other vendors do. But that is the best way to help your client.
Yeah. And I love how you said it is counterintuitive, because we want to just solve the problem in the moment. And that comes from that scarcity mindset. If I don't solve the problem, they're going to be upset with me. If I don't solve it right now, they're going to go somewhere else, as opposed to feeling that like freedom to take a beat, knowing they just need some rest. I need a minute to think about how I'm going to respond or whatever.
Or sometimes go make dinner and not worry about this, because this isn't something that I should hold, right? It's not a backpack I should put up and strap on to my shoulder. That's just not what we do. The other thing that I think that is really interesting is, especially what I have found, is confident vendors, they don't have to know everything. But the newer, like, just been in the industry, to prove their worth, they have to have answers to all the questions in the moment. That's live. Really good point. And sometimes that will bite you, right? Here's my perfect example. I don't even think I've ever shared this on air before. So, exclusive. And I was
a reveal.
I've done a million podcasts. So this was one, I was a baby planner, and the mom, I think this was like my maybe third wedding. My little 20, self bopping around, 23. And the bride asked me, well, what side do the bride stand on? And I was like, I have no idea. It's a 50-50 split. So I'm just going to say on the right, like whatever. I just threw it out. And so that's what we did. And she was on the right. And the mom called me out the next day. And then I was like, oh, this is the way Rachel wanted it. Here we go. And so then, and all was fine, thank God. But it was just one of those moments where I was like, I have no idea. I have a 50-50 shot. I have to know.
Where you could have just, just taken a beat, like literally Googled any wedding image to get your answer. But it's that pressure of like answering in the moment. So we have in our membership the 6-figure seamstress course. And so new members always go through that course. And it's kind of like our foundation. And I think it's like the third module in there is professionalism and communication. And like the biggest takeaway from that module is we're responsible for what we tell our clients and how the fittings go. And our clients are only responsible for what we clearly and fairly explain to them. So if we have these expectations or boundaries set in our minds, and then our client like you know, breaks that whatever trust, or they text us too late, or whatever the issue is. Like, if they don't know that that's a boundary, we can't hold it against them. Or if they don't know when the invoice is due, we can't hold that against them. And I think a lot of times there's this defensiveness that comes with the boundary, like, you're overstepping, or, you know, like, this person's trying to take advantage of me. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just confused because you didn't really explain this well. And like, we can take ownership of that. And it's empowering, because then we're not the victim to our business. We're not the victim to our clients. We get to take ownership of how we want the fittings to go, and tell our clients how we want this experience to go. And also, when there's a bad experience, like I just had a rough time with a client, that's going to be a future podcast episode, because we learn like 4 lessons through this one client interaction. Exactly. Coming soon. And I could have responded and been like, okay, well, she was really stressed out, so it wasn't on us. But I didn't. It's like, we as a team dissected what happened. Like, this step is kind of when it first started, and then this step and this step. So this is what we're doing differently. And there are 4 things that we've changed in how we roll here because of that scenario. And that gave us the empowerment to make it better for the next client. And then we're not a victim to the scenario. It's like, we actually just get to make it better for the next person. We have a good relationship with this bride. Like, everything's, you know, it was smoothed over. It's fine. But like, I see that a lot, where there's this defensiveness that comes when clients are dissatisfied, or when there's a break in communication, and suddenly the business owner is the victim, and they're working with these like horrible bridezillas. Maybe they're not a bridezilla. Maybe they just didn't know how this all worked. And whose responsibility is that to tell them? It gets to be ours. And when you said this earlier, like, it comes from a place of kindness and compassion, because when we communicate ahead of time, we're allowing our clients to enjoy the experience more, and know, you know, we all want to like feel comfortable when we step into a new situation, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, by telling them what the expectation is, we're doing them a service, and it doesn't have to be coming from a place of defensiveness or like self-protection. I think that's where a lot of us get stuck when it comes to boundaries. It feels like self-preservation.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Well, I completely agree with that. And I love the analogy of like, when we all go into something new and we don't know, right?
Right.
Absolutely. We want someone to help us through that.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to feel awkward. Like, I use this example a lot. If I don't like when people come early, I'm like, listen, I don't like, this is my space. Okay. So this is the waiting area, and this is where the bride stands. So it's like, I don't got extra space. So when people would come early, I would be like, you're so rude. But then I wouldn't tell them, don't come early. So I had this like built up resentment.
But I actually think they're being on time and nice, right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
So they're just excited, and they're like, oh gosh, you know, they came early, and so they 10 or 15 minutes, they just want to make sure they're on time. So then I just started including that in our follow-up or our prep emails, like, we don't have a waiting area. To protect the privacy of Sweet Francis brides, please wait in the car until your appointment time. And it's like, I literally don't have that issue ever anymore.
Yeah.
No. And then the same thing with like when they bring in their like Starbucks, because there's a Starbucks right by my shop. So it's like, they come in with their drinks, and I'm like, don't bring your coffee in here. Like, don't you know? No, they don't know, because you can bring coffee everywhere. And it's like a treat. If they're going to stop and get their coffee. Yes. And like, they're excited. So it's like, they're actually not the villain, and I'm not the victim. But then when there's communication ahead of time, I'm being proactive, and I'm helping them not feel awkward, because how embarrassing is that to be like, oh, can you keep your beverages? Can you actually put them in your car? Or do you want me to throw those away for you? Like, that's so embarrassing. You know, like, think
100%.
With compassion for these poor people. Okay.
Well,
I also want to,
right? They've never done it before.
Yes.
And of course they don't know. Yeah.
I want to talk more about the money. So when we live in the 97%, tell us how that affects what we bring home, our bank. Because I feel like that's the part that people get excited about too. But how do all these things translate to making more money? Like the things we've already talked about, it all works together. You know what I mean? Like the cycle, the hustle cycle versus the abundance versus, you know, setting our clients up for failure versus telling them how to come prepared for the appointment. It all comes from the same mindset or the same headspace. So tell us how that ends up in our bank.
Yeah, you make a lot more money. I mean, you make, like hard stop. Like, that's how I built my business, right? And I think a seven-figure exit for a sole owner planning company is like unheard of. And I'm like, it was built on the abundance group mentality of promoting my competitors and doing anything I can to help them, from walking into a networking event and saying like, I'm not here to get any referrals, I'm here to give them away. Right? That posture is magnetic for people. People want to be involved in business with someone who is generous of spirit like that. Same with clients. It doesn't mean, again, to your point, it's a kindness play to explain to them, how I can best show up for them. I'm not going to email you on Sundays or whatever that is.
Right.
Like that only creates more space in your calendar to take on more clients because you've built those boundaries. That means more money. But again, just bringing that all the way across to the vendor connections you have, the leadership posture of your team, that you're there to serve them and help them grow into whatever they want to be in their next chapter. Like, when you embrace the 97% club mindset, like the whole world just becomes, I say, like in technicolor. Like, you're able to do and move through the world. And it doesn't mean, it's not optimism for optimism's sake. It's intentional and strategic. That's how I've always viewed it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like you're going to never come across difficult clients, but you're not going to feel pigeonholed with those clients or feel like they're attacking you because you have all these other resources, or just like your mind is opened up to like thinking kind thoughts of other people. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's like basics.
It's like the world is nicer and more fruitful. It's almost like that's the whole point.
Exactly.
But I think too, one of our core values at Simply Elegant was we always assume a positive intent.
That's
we always assume someone's walking into a room, they have a different lived experience, different understanding. Just like the Starbucks thing is a perfect example. They just don't know. They're excited, right? They get to have their coffee and they're going to go, they're fitting, right? Like,
yeah. Girls' Day. Yeah.
Right. Like, we always assume that's it. Like, it doesn't mean we don't course correct. It doesn't mean we don't say like, oh, hey, cool. Like, I'm so excited. Here's why we do it this way. We don't want to make sure all the dresses are stained, whatever, But I think it's just a different way to see the world. It's a different way to see the world. And have I been in a relationship where someone took advantage of that? 100%. But have I also been in so many other relationships where because of that, it allowed for 10 times more than I thought? Always. Like, that for me is like, but there's always going to be challenging relationships, or there will be crappy clients. They are out there, right? And it
or crappy vendors.
Or crappy vendors, or crappy circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, it's hard because I feel like the one negative experience can stand out more than, the 100 good experiences, or that one nasty relationship that you have with a competitor is like so much bigger than, takes up so much more space than like the hundreds of good relationships that you have with other local vendors or local, whatever, quote unquote competition. And so we get to choose where, like, who gets the real estate in our thoughts. And that also affects, how we're going to interact with people in the future. Like, are we going to assume like the victim position? We don't need to, moving forward. So when people join your abundance group, what does that look like? Does that look like one-on-one coaching, group coaching? What does the accountability look like? I'm really excited about this.
It's like everything. So I see a way of like, people learn differently and they need different helps during different seasons. So they actually get daily one-on-one access to me through an app called Voxer. So I do voice coaching. We have twice a month group calls. We have 3 in-person events a year that are included. And then you get access to all my course curriculum that I've ever created. So I've been doing this 10 years. So it's a huge vault. I always say, if it's not in the vault, let's build it together, and then everybody has it. But there's very, very often there's already assets in the community. But that's everything.
That's very cool. Are all of your retreats in Minneapolis, or do you move around throughout the year?
No, one of them is every year, but then we move around. Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, very fun. That's like us. So we've had several in Portland because it's like a nice, kind of like a central West Coast location. And then we move around for our other retreats, and it's really fun
Our
because
members
because
pick ours. Yeah, they
oh,
pick
that's
where
cool.
it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really fun. I think too, now we're going to start repeating cities because I'm like, I would like to not explore a brand new city every time. I think I can start, repeating
100%.
a few every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do it
Okay.
like we have planners in all of our markets. So they like kind of help us. They
Yes.
show
Oh,
off all
that's
their
so
vendor
cool.
relationships, which is really fun. They
Yes.
host the tag fam. Yeah. And
Oh,
it's
that's so
only 50
fun.
of us. Yeah. So right now we do have a handful of spots left, but we do max out because I do personally one-on-one coach. But yeah, so it's a limited group. But yeah, it's to me, I'm very biased, but the most rad, abundant, just the people you want to be around.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's
absolutely.
very cool. So for our final question, for the listener who is feeling stuck and they might be hearing this conversation thinking like that sounds awesome, but I don't know how to get out of this hole. What would you say to them?
Yeah. Start finding things in your life to be grateful for because everybody has them, right? And that could be as simple as, my daughter is healthy. We ran to the ER last night with my dog, who is my soul dog, worried that she had bloat because she's a Bernese mountain dog. She's sleeping behind me right now. And it just turned out to be like a ruptured muscle in her hip, like her abdomen.
Wow.
Grateful that that she is good, and it's just like even in these hard moments there's still things to be really grateful for. And when we start, I always say it's like the white Jeep perspective. Like I was in my 20s and I bought my first car. It was a white Jeep, and I was like, nobody has white Jeeps. Then I bought the Jeep and everybody had white Jeeps. I saw white Jeeps everywhere. I was like, how did I not see this before? Well, what
Yes.
we pay attention to magnifies in our life.
Yes. Yeah.
And take the simple step of just, and we always say at TAG, good things keep happening to me. Callie, my dog, didn't have bloat. Good things keep happening to me. Good things keep happening to me. And so, and there's a million things to be grateful
Yeah.
for. I have a massage in 2 hours. Good things
Ooh.
keep happening to me, right? Like
Yes.
anything in our life that brings us joy that, a lot of the times, especially in entrepreneurs, we move so fast and we grow so fast that we forget that where we're at right now is something we were wishing for 24 months ago. So such a short time ago in the grand scheme, and getting lost in sometimes, like you were talking about, like the woe is me and like I'm not enough or all of that. Like what we pay attention to magnifies. So you have complete choice of that. And you can go, that's a 3% thought. Okay, how can I make it a 97% thought? And what if this partnership goes wrong? Well, what if it goes right? What would it look like if it changed your business? And again, I think there's just everybody who woke up today and gets to breathe in, air. There's things for us to be grateful for.
That is so good. And it's something that we can literally start today.
Yeah, right now.
Yes. And I do love, have you worked through The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron?
No, I have not.
What? Okay, I feel like
Send
that
it to
totally.
me. I want to hear about
yes.
it. I love
Okay,
it.
so I mean, I think it was written in like the early '80s, and it's like a 12-week. Basically, it's a journaling. It's a book of journaling prompts, essentially.
Oh, cool.
I guess, and it's like how to rediscover like your inner artist or your child artist, and there's a lot of prompts to just return to what you enjoy and think about, like the beauty in your life and what's fun for you. What does play look like for you?
Yeah.
I love it, and I'd love to one of these days have our membership go through it together, or just have like a subgroup go through it. But it's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and so I brought that up because she's a big fan of journaling. So one of the first things you start doing, it's called morning pages, and as soon as you wake up, you just kind of like write down like stream of consciousness. You need to write 3 pages every morning, and then at night I like to journal like reflectively throughout the day. So when you first start the morning pages, you kind of notice just what's on your mind, and a lot of times it's like the stress, the due dates, what has to be done, and you're seeing proof of it because you shouldn't be editing it as you're writing. It's just like, these are journals that you can burn afterwards. They're not for like heirlooms. And then, over time you see that your like subconscious is just noticing different things. You're writing things down differently because that stream of consciousness is different as you reprogram your brain. So you're seeing proof of that. It's awesome. So The Artist's Way. I feel like that's right up your alley.
Yeah, I know. It's all about neuroplasticity, and we're learning more and more and more about it, and
Yeah.
just a way where we can have control of our own thoughts, and what we think about becomes our behavior, right? So yeah, that's why, that's truly it's the foundation of the entire everything we do at the Abundance Group. Like
Yeah.
that's the whole point. So I love
Yeah.
this. Send me it over. I really would love to see it.
Yes, yeah, I
Yeah,
will. Okay, I'll send you that link. Okay, listeners, you know where to find Ashley. I think your Instagram handle is the Abundance Group, right?
it sure is.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll have it all linked in the notes. We also have The Anxious Generation is in our SBS book club, our book of the month club. So that's also linked in the show notes as well. I think that's a good one. I think The Artist's Way is up in there too. So all the books we've been talking about, you can access through the link. And Ashley, when do you have, oh, you said you have a couple more openings in the
Yeah.
Abundance Group. Okay, and that's just like, do you have like a wait list or how does that
Yeah,
work?
well, people can just connect with me on Instagram if they're excited to learn more. Super easy. And then I get to know you, the business. If we have spots open and it's a good fit, that's great. If not, if we don't have any spots open, then we do have a wait list, and I'd get them access to everything they needed. Just like I said,
Okay.
just DM me. It's a great place to
Yes,
start.
very cool. Okay, thank you, Ashley. I'm so excited for this
Awesome.
info to get to listeners. And then, listeners, you know where to find either of us if you have questions or comments about this convo, because it was a good one.
Yeah.
Potential life-changing stuff up in here.
I love it. I love
Thanks,
it.
Ashley.